The Newsday continues here on One News Now. I'm Riza Diaz. The Makabayan coalition expressed their support to Vice President Leody Robredo in the May elections. Now, what does Labor leader and presidential aspirant Leody De Guzman have to say about this? To share with us his insights, Leody De Guzman is joining us live via Zoom this afternoon. Leody, good afternoon.
Riza, magandang hapon sa iyo at sa ating mga tagapanood.
Magandang hapon po. Leody, would like to get po your reaction, yung insights niyo po about the Makabayan bloc endorsing si Vice President Leody Robredo as their president for the upcoming elections. When they could have endorsed you, kayo po ay tumatakbo rin sa pagkapangulo coming again from the ranks of the labor sector.
Yung Makabayan ay ibang organisasyon sila, ibang partido. At sila ay may sariling, siyempre, analysis at may sarili silang proseso. Kaya nirerespeto ko yung kailang desisyon. Bagamat siyempre, magkaiba kami ng tindig.
Leody, may mga panawagan po for you to back out from the race for the presidency and instead suportahan na lamang po daw si Vice President Leody Robredo. Are you open to this? Are you considering this? Why or why not?
Hindi na dahil talagang magkaiba kami ng agenda eh. Magkaiba rin kami ng analysis sa problema ng ating bansa. Ay siyempre pagka iba yung analysis hindi tama, ay siyempre yung solusyon magkaiba rin. At consistent lang yung kanyang programa sa kung anong programa ng mga nagdaang mga presidente sa ating bansa mula kay Marcos, kay Cory, kay Ramos, halos nakapatungkol pa rin sa patakaran na buhayin, paunlarin ang negosyo at para sa paniniwala na kapag umunlad ang negosyo ay makikinabang din ang tao. Na sa mahabang panahon, for 40 years na, yung ganong panuntunan sa pagpapaunlad ng bansa at pagpapaunlad ng buhay ng masang Pilipino ay hindi nangyayari dahil ang umunlad lang ay ang mga negosyante, ang mga mayayaman dahil sila ang pas pinaburan ng mga patakaran, batas na ginawa ng mga nagpalit-palit na gobyerno. Kaya kung yun pa rin ang panuntunan na gagawin sa paggugobyerno pagkatapos ni Duterte, eh wala ring mangyayari. Hindi magkakaroon ng katuparan yung mga pangakong magandang buhay ng ating mga manggagawa, ng ating mga magsasaka, ng ating mga mamayan. At kahit siya ay manalo, kung sino man ang manalo, kung tuloy ang kontraktualisasyon, walang mapapala ang 45 million na mga manggagawa. Kung tuloy ang rice tariffication law, wala ring mapapala yung ating mga kapatid na mga magsasaka na binibilang ng 11 million. Kung tuloy ang privatization, yung ng sektor ng serbisyo, tubig, kuryente, ay patuloy na ipapahawak sa mga malaking negosyante at pagtutubuan, walang pag-asa na ang presyo niyan ay bumaba at maging totoong serbisyo para sa tao. Walang mapapakinabang ang taong bayan sa ganyang klase ng framework ng pamumuno sa pamahalaan na ipagpapatuloy lamang yung dati ng mga panuntunan na ginawa ni Marcos hanggang kay Duterte. Kaya mahirap na ngayon pag-usapan na mahingin yung trust ko at pagsuporta kay Vice Lenny.
Leody, gusto rin po namin makuha ang inyong reaksyon because naiulat na po na si Director or Direct Paul Soriano, nag-post po siya on social media. Photos po ito showing, nagpapakita na si Bongbong Marcos Jr. ay kasama po niya. They were shooting an ad dated January 8. A day after po yan when he said that he cannot attend. Ito pong disqualification hearing niya dapat. Now, ang inaasahan po kasi yan, sinabi niyang reason, they were isolated. But instead, the photos show otherwise. Ano pong inyong reaction dito?
Hindi na nakakagulat yung mga ganyang kwento. Marami ng mga kwento ng kasinungalingan, ng mga panloloko, ng mga pandaraya, yung mga Marcos na sila walang pakialam sa mga proseso. Wala silang pakialam sa sinasabi nila. Yan ang kinalakihan niya. Dahil sa tingin niya, lahat ay tama siya, lahat ay walang mali sa kanyang ginagawa. Kaya ganyan ka-aggressive, ganyan ka-kumpiyansa yung taong yan dahil yun nga yung kanyang kinilakhan. Kaya yan ay isa lamang ulit sa mga halimbawa ng napakarami ng pagsisinungaling, ng napakarami ng pandaraya, ng napakarami ng panlalamang at pang-argabyado para sa kanilang kagalingan.
Kalyodi, we'll take this opportunity to take advantage to get your insights. Gamit po ang few words. Can you tell us kung bakit po hindi dapat iboto ng taong bayan ang inyo pong makakalaban? Isa-isahin po natin, ilan lamang naman po sila. Siguro po simulan po natin kay Senator Ping Lacson. Bakit po hindi po siya dapat iboto? Kalyodi? All right, we'll try to circle in back with our interview with presidential candidate Leody De Guzman. Now, this just in, Malacanang reports that Metro Manila, Batanes, Bulacan, Cavite, and Rizal shall be placed under Alert Level 2 starting Tuesday, February 1st. Also, presidential aspirant Bongbong Marcos Jr. has attended a festival in Sultan Kudarat. Political leaders in the area insist the people welcomed him despite a bad blood during martial law. Gemma Vansenia has the story.
Presidential candidate Bongbong Marcos Jr. was the guest of honor during the 5th Kuldaraten Festival in Sultan Kudarat, Maguindanao this weekend. With him were senatorial candidate Harry Roque, LMP President Chavit Singson, Maguindanao Governor by Maria Mangudadatu and her husband Sultan Kudarat Governor Suharto Teng Mangudadatu. Marcos Jr.'s running mate, Davao City Mayor Sara Duterte, wasn't able to attend but she sent her brother Sebastian Duterte. Duterte thanked the public for supporting his father, President Rodrigo Duterte, and asked them to support the unit team. Local political leaders here said they were glad that most people in Barm welcomed Marcos, given that many Muslims here died during the martial law regime of the candidate's father, former dictator Ferdinand Marcos.
It really is amazing. Kasi marami po dito, although yes, there is some sort of history na pinag-uusapan dito tungkol sa mga nakaraan during the time of President Ferdinand Marcos yung nauna, pero nakita po natin na ang mga kababayan natin dito, uhaw na uhaw din para sa pagbabago na makikita lamang sa leadership ni President Bongbong Marcos.
Meanwhile, Dato Pax Ali said they have filed motion for reconsideration on COMELEC's decision to cancel his certificate of candidacy for Sultan Kudarat gubernatorial race after former beauty queen Sharifa Mangudadatu, who is also running for the same seat, filed a petition against him for lack of residency. For Dato Pax Ali, he remains to be a qualified candidate in these coming elections.
Let's stop the nonsense. Hindi pwede na ang tanging plataforma mo sa pagka-governor ng Sultan Kudarat ay butuhin niyo ako dahil ang kalaban ko disqualified.
For News 5, Gemma Vansenia, we are One News.
Makakatulong sa ating mga kababayan.
We'll be back with more stories after the break. Keep it here on One News. You're still watching One News Now. I'm Riza Diaz. Let's circle back into our conversation with Leody De Guzman. He's joining us over the phone this time. Good afternoon again, Leody. Leody? Again, we'll try to fix that connection so we can get more of his insights. We were asking him about his opinion about the other opponents he's facing for the presidency. Now, EJ Obiena may not receive incentives from the government even if he breaks the national record in future competitions. Citing a source, the Philippine Star reports that an endorsement from Patafa is needed for the government to approve the release of Obiena's incentives. The Olympian pole vaulter may also lose out on financial support for his trainings and stipend because of his expulsion from the national team. Things are heating up in the metaverse as artist Mason Rothschild released 100 virtual Birkin NFTs, which he calls Meta Birkins. But Hermes, the company that produces the real-life luxury bags line, is now accusing him of trademark infringement. Let's watch this.
Take us back a step. This court case, it's all to do with the fact that these non-fungible tokens get sold of digital Birkins, but without Hermes's say-so.
Yes. So Hermes is claiming that Mason Rothschild has infringed on their famous Birkin trademarks with his Meta Birkin NFTs. Hermes is saying those NFTs are diluting their famous marks, but Rothschild says his First Amendment rights protects him in selling these NFTs and has compared the situation to Andy Warhol's paintings of Campbell soup cans. And this might give courts or even the Supreme Court the chance to clarify the legal balance between trademark rights and the First Amendment.
Your view on how courts usually balance these sorts of trademark rights versus the freedom of expression?
Right, so courts have said these types of cases should only go in favor of the brand if the trademark has no artistic relevance to the work or the artist is explicitly misleading consumers on the source of the work. Appeals courts are inconsistent on how they apply this test, and it tends to favor artists. Attorneys think Hermes might have a better shot, though, because consumers might be confused about whether or not the actual Birkin maker is associated with these Meta Birkins. So many other brands have gone into the space, like Adidas and, Louis Vuitton.
Yes. Yes, of course. The fact that many a company right now wanting to ensure that its presence is felt in the metaverse, Nike, another key one. I'm interested in the guidance, the potential guidance coming out of these rights. How do you think it will impact going forward? What are people going to be looking for to help dictate future decisions around this? And how can companies in particular potentially front run this so they don't end up in court but end up part of the process before it goes live?
Right, so companies can start filing trademark registrations in proactive categories that might cover NFTs. There isn't any specific category right now that does cover NFTs, but that's one way they could try to get ahead of it, or just go ahead and collaborate with artists right from the start, like Louis Vuitton has. Otherwise, people are watching this case to see if the Supreme Court or another court does clarify this test that might give brands a better outcome for these cases.
Is this the first major legal action that we've seen?
Yes. So there have been other suits involving NFTs and artist rights, but Hermes is the first large company, really high-profile plaintiff to take on this case, which is another reason it might be enticing for a court like the Supreme Court to eventually take on.
And those are the top stories of the hour. Join us later again at 1:30 in the afternoon as we try to get to Leody De Guzman back on board while we continue to monitor the day's biggest stories. You can also catch One News on the Signal Play app. Register for a free account now at www.signalplay.com and stream One News live anytime, anywhere. I'm Riza Diaz. Mask on, wash hands, and stay safe, Philippines. We are One News.